What's up, y'all? This is Star Rock, and you are tuned into the AURN podcast. I am here with my co-host, Jay Hall, Jonathan Elias, and we have a special guest today, Jay Harrison G.
Hey, what's good?
On the Wikipedia page.
Yes. I mean, the resume is amazing.
It's there.
We got Kinky Boots, Raising Dion.
Yeah.
Currently, Some Like It Hot on Broadway.
Yeah.
Lots going on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, as we get into this, tell us about yourself. Tell us how we got here today.
Oh my God, where do I begin? I grew up in North Carolina. My dad was a pastor, a missionary Baptist, and I needed any reason to get out of North Carolina. And so I moved to New York to study theater. I said, well, I sing and dance and people respond. This feels right.
Wow.
So I came here, studied theater, and never looked back.
Nice. Where did you study theater?
At AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy.
Yes, that is one of the places to study theater.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And, watching your clips and everything, as a former theater kid, I went to Performing Arts High School, but, you tap, you do the jazz, you sing.
All the things.
Triple threat.
All the things. I
Okay.
try. I was talking to a friend recently, and they were like, did you imagine doing all of this? Like, did this, and I was like, yeah, I'm always going to meet the moment. I'm going to rise to the occasion.
Yes.
I love a challenge. I love to be like, yeah, I may not know how to do that thing now, but, give me a minute. Let me figure that thing out. Let me try.
Wait, what's your sign?
A Gemini.
Oh, that makes sense. My
We
brother's a
gonna do that now.
Gemini.
This Zodiac
That makes sense. That makes sense because my
Geminis.
brother is a Gemini. He basically is the same.
Multifaceted.
Yeah.
I love a challenge.
Yeah.
So, tell us about, growing up, who nurtured your creativity?
Me. In the sense of I would entertain myself.
Okay.
I'd go in the backyard, and my dad, to this day, I used to be the entire marching band by myself in the backyard. And he'd be like, son, if you don't get out off that grass, killing it. There was literally a patch where I was always marching, and you just knew where I was in the backyard. And he was like, well, I guess it's worth it now.
Yeah.
But my mom also just kind of raised me to understand that my gifts weren't about me.
Okay.
That God had given me something to use and to
Wow.
do with and not take for granted and take lightly. So it's something that I'm very intentional about of using what I was given. Otherwise it'll get, taken.
I'm glad you said that because Some Like It Hot is the current play that you're in on
Yeah,
Broadway.
yeah.
It's an iconic show, right?
Yes.
Based on the classic movie from the 50s.
Yeah.
Back then it was probably something seen as controversial. Now, probably still seen as controversial now, but the times I think allow for certain conversations to be had.
Yeah.
And, tell us about Some Like It Hot, how it's adapted to now and your character and how you sort of bring your truth and your humanity through in your artistry.
It's my humanity. That's part of the draw to me for joining the project. I started in 2019 with it. And in 1959, it was ahead of its time and definitely caused conversations. And we wanted to bring it forward and do our own thing. And turning Sugar, who was originally done by Marilyn Monroe, into a black woman, now played by Adriana Hicks, so beautifully every night.
Yes.
And Natasha Yvette Williams, who's also from Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Nice.
Wow.
She opens the show. It's just beautiful black representation throughout the show, and we have such a wonderful time, and we touch on it throughout the show. We talk about race, we have this line where one of the characters says to Natasha, is are we going south? She's like, girl, it's 1933. Look at me and ask me that again. Things we're not, and we get to have fun and just be ourselves and let these characters exist.
Yeah.
And be who they are. And Adriana playing Sugar every night is such a beautiful journey. And then me, I get to play Jerry, who finds Daphne in these circumstances, and Daphne really expands the humanity of who I am. I find this extension and this version of myself that I'm like, oh wow, circumstances allowed me to see beyond my own labels, my own boundaries, my own limits, and really step into a fuller human. And I'm excited to share that with audiences 8 times a week. It's really a beautiful experience for me.
I would like to touch on, like you said, the audience. Who are your audience? Who would be the audience? What are the type of people that would like to go and see a show? Because I was just reading, I was looking at reviews, and it was a lady with her husband. She was like, I didn't even know about this. Why didn't I know about this? You know, and like, and yeah, same. And funny thing is, one of my friends, she does work in Broadway, and she told me I had to go see it before we even knew that we were gonna interview you. So, who are the people that would really enjoy this?
Everybody.
There you go.
Truly.
So what?
And
Go and see it.
Yeah, it's for everyone, and for the people who knew the movie. You'll get what you love out of the movie, and then a bit more. And if you know nothing, you will come in and leave with a smile on your face and having a good time. Because we're also it's Broadway, like we're tapping, we're singing and dancing. It's like classic Broadway, and then you get these little gems just drop throughout, and you're like, ooh, I didn't expect to. How do we get here? Yeah. And it's wonderful to feel those moments throughout the show. I literally feel the audience like stuff land, and they're like, oh, yeah. And you're like, great, and then we just like keep moving, and yeah, it's a great time. So it's truly for everybody. Like one of my favorite things from opening night. Our security guy, Leon, who sits at the stage door every night, was very intent about not watching the show or listening to anything during previews. He was like, I want to see it opening night. I want to experience it. So he sat out in the house opening night, and he was sitting next to this cisgender white man, and I have a big number in Act 2 called You Could Have Knocked Me Over with a Feather, where I have my, like, revelation and my, like, understanding of this expansion. And I finished my song, and everybody applauded, and the man looked to the lady he was with and was like, I need to treat my son better.
Wow.
And that's why I do what I do. Like, that's why performing is my ministry. This is I'm walking in my purpose, doing what I do. So, but yeah, it's for everybody.
I really wanted you to say that. Because that's literally what the review said. Everything you just touched upon is like this classic Broadway. You get so much enjoyment, from it. So yeah, I want everybody to know about that. Yeah, that's dope.
The movie itself is from that classic Hollywood era. So I was telling them off mic, my mom would watch Some Like It Hot on repeat.
That's
like,
wild.
Tony Curtis, Jamie Lee Curtis' father, Jack Lemmon, grumpy old white man. I mean, grumpy old man. Well, white man, whatever. Right? And Marilyn Monroe. Right? And I always remember the scene of like, I'm about to get engaged. And Tony Curtis is like, a boy can't marry a boy.
Yeah.
And it's not a pun. It's not a joke.
Yeah.
And so for it to be the movie that it is, and considering like so forward, but we know that wasn't their intention then, right?
Yeah.
And so we have these classic arts that certain cultures have gravitated to be like, yo, that was the one I saw that made me feel like it could be me. But it wasn't their intention.
Yeah.
It wasn't their intention. How do you as an artist approach that? When you step into the hat or this role and you're like, I know this wasn't their intention for people like me, but what are you bringing as far as to bring your perspective from it?
Very much just being intentional about bringing myself, like coming in authentically. And that's what I appreciated about the creative team, that they honored who I am coming into the process. They knew who they were getting. And there were even moments along the way, like pre-pandemic, where I had to question myself and where I stood. And I was like, well, moving forward, if this project isn't for me, this is not for me. If you can't take me making this simple fashion choice in the workshop, then great. I'll be okay if this doesn't work for me going forward. But with all the work and the conversations all the time, it was just meant for me to do the thing. And that found its way into the show. Like things I say in my real life found their way into the script of how I identify, how I communicate that to people. I'm like, people always ask what my pronouns are. All things with respect. Because I walk in the power and the fullness of who I am as a human. Yeah. You'll get Butch Queen, all the things. Like, you get everything in between. Like, I am all things, and I take the power of all of that. And so, for that to find its way into the script, I was like, oh, okay, that's y'all are listening. You're paying attention. Yeah. And I'm like, work. As long as you're approaching me with love and respect, we can do whatever. Let's go.
Yeah. Did you have something in particular that you had looked up to when you were coming up, when you knew that you had these talents and these gifts that your mother had told you about? Was there any one of these, either movies, TV, films, or persons that you looked at and was like, related to, aspired to, anything like that?
I mean, there's so many things. And it's funny because somebody asked me recently, they were like, is there anything you're obsessed with? And I'm like, no, but I take inspiration from everywhere and everything. And I'm like, great, I take what works and I find the good. And I'm like, how do I find and connect with that in me? And so, like, everything I watching The Cosby Show, like, that was formative for me. Watching the Wayans brothers, like, that kind of comedy and that, like, energy, and watching In Living Color, like all those kinds of things. Even I watched an interview with Marlon Wayans talking about White Chicks was inspired by Some Like It Hot, the movie.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, mind blown. And I had never heard of Some Like It Hot before joining this project. I had never seen the movie, and then I watched it before doing the audition and everything. So it was just like, oh, work. So I came to it later. So I didn't have the pressure of, oh, this movie that I know and has this acclaim. I meet a moment and a person and a thing when I meet the thing. Yeah. And so it was an opportunity to, like, show up and be like, okay, great. Well, how do I just do me in this moment?
Yeah. So, with you being so talented, what would be your dream role or someone that you would like to play? Anything like that?
Well, I guess I haven't created it yet.
Okay.
And now I'm in this place where I'm not play dreaming anymore. I'm allowing myself to really dream, and that is infinite.
Yeah.
And letting that be free. If I had to, like, pick a thing, I'm like, if somebody wants to do a biopic of Luther Vandross, I'd be glad to hit it. Like, I mean,
I would love to see.
You know what I mean?
See that, yes.
So
I would love to see that.
lots of things, but
Instead
then
of letting just Patti LaBelle tell his story,
Okay.
I actually see a real biopic.
she can produce it, and like,
Listen.
I want Auntie, I would love like
I
that.
mean, the song "If Only for One Night" does have a different, definition now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it does. Have a different, it does. It went from this is a beautifully sing song to it's about an affair to
Yeah.
And like those things of, like, growing up, learning and seeing how people responded to even him, and, like, part of my dream, I always say in my spirit, I'm like, I want to be what him and Sylvester couldn't be.
Yeah.
And then, like, when I moved to New York, again, I didn't know what I was getting myself into with theater, and I found Billy Porter's album of At the Corner of Broadway and Soul at the school theater, at the library, and I was like, there is someone in this industry I can, like, connect to and, like, look after and follow. And so to now be friends with him and be working with him, like, he just directed me on an episode of Accused for Fox, and, like, that was such a beautiful moment. And I'm like, I'm just friends with Billy Porter.
That's wild.
Right?
That's
like,
wild.
you could just text him. And,
And my friends from college are like, you friends with Billy Porter? And I'm like,
I mean, you was his understudy, right?
Yes, he was the original Lola, and he came out on tour and played Lola in Pittsburgh, and I was the understudy on the tour. So I got to spend a week with him then and, like, really sit at his feet.
Lola and Kinky Boots.
Yeah. And then I got to take over the role on tour, and then that was my Broadway debut. And I got to close the show as Lola, and I am Billy Porter's favorite Lola.
Come on.
Okay.
He was like,
Okay.
if it ain't me, it's Jay.
Yeah.
Could you explain understudy for the non-artists, creators who would understand? What is the importance of being understudy?
Yeah. So if Billy is the lead of the show, I would be the person who, like, sits and covers him. If he's sick, if he's out of the show, if he's got a personal day or vacation and has, for whatever reason, not in the show, that understudy steps up, does the role. And I started the Kinky tour as a swing, which is somebody who covers multiple people in the show.
Wow.
Like,
so you had to learn a lot.
I did everything, and I was the assistant dance captain, so I taught people that show.
Wow.
I literally saw that show from every angle.
Was that 6 nights a week or 7?
6 nights a week, yeah. One night off, 2 shows on, like, 2 Wednesdays and Saturdays. Like, we had, like,
wow.
It's a lot.
Now, I read an interesting story about how you came to be Lola. I don't know if it's true or not, because sometimes, you got to take what you see on the internet with a grain of salt.
Well, we can fix that right here.
There you go. Yeah.
But I read that you were auditioning for one thing, that it wasn't Kinky Boots, it was something else, and then you just kind of talked about your personal, because I know you perform as a drag performer. Crystal Demure, right?
Yeah.
And so I heard that was just talking about that element of you kind of led to Kinky Boots, right?
Yeah, I was going into the casting office auditioning for Motown.
Okay.
And,
Motown, that's what it was.
Okay.
And a friend of mine encouraged me to drop off a headshot resume and cover letter
Wow.
to the casting director for Kinky Boots, and
Okay.
just expressing my interest and my connection to the show. And that started the process of my audition. And
Wow.
yeah, literally by the next week I was in, and they told us to come in full drag.
Wow.
And so I was like, great, a moment to show up.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
then I like showed up, and I knew I was auditioning for a cover of Lola and like one of the angels. But I was like, I'm gonna show y'all she can be Lola too. So
Yeah.
I had a red sequin leotard and blonde hair, like
Wow.
very Lola-esque. I pulled it out, and the director was like, where did you get that? I was like, it was in my closet.
Yeah.
That's how I knew you were a worker when I saw in the interview that you said your drag performance
work
was
or work?
was
We're talking about both ways?
no, it
Always.
said your drag performance was a side hustle. I was like, oh, that's how you know they living in New York, because you use all your talents to keep the lights on.
Oh yeah.
And then someone has to tell you like, oh, I guess I can audition for this, because you just thinking about how can I access
Oh
to
yeah.
stay here while I'm studying my craft.
And that was, I mean, that was also it speaks to like the shift of where the industry has come, where we have come as a society. Like getting into theater, I thought I had to play straight all the time and had to be the leading man and like fill these roles. And so drag was also very like, keep that over there in the shadows. I don't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want to be put in this like, that's all I can be, all I can do. And I wasn't fully walking in my power at the time. So it was like still underground for me. I was like, yeah. Everything was separate. I was working at a restaurant during the day as a host, and then like going to do drag shows and stuff at night. And it's like, yeah, that was my side hustle.
Seeing some of the same customers on a low.
Come on. Hello. Clocking it.
But I gotta say, take it back to Kinky Boots. I saw Billy Porter and Kinky Boots. That was my introduction to Billy Porter, and I like interviewed him and everything, and he was good. So I know you.
For you,
I know you introduced him,
right.
but no, it was interesting. Like Billy Porter and I got into this conversation about fashion, and he talked about how, and this is before he like was known as the fashion killer on a public stage, and we're talking about like just how he'd be like, maybe one day I'm feeling masculine, one day I'm feeling feminine, like I just wear what I want to wear.
Yeah.
But I want to take that to you. Have you had any conversations with Billy, like fashion conversations, any styling advice or anything like that? I'm just curious.
We haven't gone in depth, but one of the things we talked about was like dress for the gig you want, not the gig you have.
Oh.
That makes sense.
So like always showing up in who you are and not like, I don't need a reason to pull a look. People are always like,
Yes.
"Ooh, where you going?" I woke up and left the house today.
Okay.
That part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And more to that, like pre-pandemic, I was very much like, I'm not a political person. I didn't vote. I was like, keep me out of all of it. And I had this revelation for myself, and then it was kind of confirmed by watching this interview someone sent me of Toni Morrison, and she was talking about how as artists, our existence is innately political. And your art can be beautiful and effective. And I had this moment of being like, oh, as a Black queer artist, my existence is a political statement. So I might as well give you something to look at when I leave. And my mama raised me to not look like somebody's throwaway child.
That part.
So I'm like, well, great. Let me just give you something to look at.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, does that get exhausting being the person that has to answer all these universal questions? Because everybody's not a monolith, right? Like who you are is not who this person is, not who this person is.
Yeah.
But when you come in and as your star continues to rise, they're going to continue to ask, so what do you feel about pronouns? And how you feel about this? And how you feel about, drag performers getting attacked? Do you feel an exhausting period personally of doing that? Like, I don't want to do this, or it's an obligation, because you're still human.
Thank you for asking that. It is a lot. But at the same token, I continue to be intentional and purposeful about the work I'm doing as an individual for myself. Literally, the first thing I do every morning is go to my altar and meet myself and the day there. And if I can do that, I can do anything. And just a book I'm reading every day is A Pocket Full of Miracles, and it has like a seed thought and a prayer. And on St. Patrick's Day, it was talking about the fourfold way of living. All you have to do is show up, tell the truth, be present, and not be attached to the outcome. And so I'm working on not being attached to the outcome and just showing up, telling the truth, and being present, and not being so concerned about the extra and what somebody's going to think and say and feel. And I can't control that. This is the only being I can actually control.
Yeah.
So as long as I stay aligned and in tune with what's going on over here, do and say as you will, and just do it with love and respect.
Oh, that's dope. I appreciate that, because sometimes I know it can get exhausting as just me and myself, right? If I'm going somewhere and something black happens over there, I'm like, yo, I didn't even finish Googling it yet. And you want me to give this whole perspective. And I'm like, I start seeing individuals like yourself, and when they start coming to interviews and being asked the same kind of generic question, I wonder, does that take a toll on somebody? Because you're already probably reading it yourself. Don't know if you got somebody that personally has experienced it, what it might reflect on you. And then you got to come in, you want to talk about your work, and then we got to ask you about this over here. And I'm like, what does that do to the person internally? You know?
And then I try to continue to show up and meet the moment and be surprised and leave the space and the availability for growth. Or like, you could ask me a question in a way that somebody else will never ask me, or I'll hear it or receive it differently in a way that might trigger something to be like, oh, great, never thought of it that way. And finding a way to just connect in the moment of that and not have a pre-canned thing or be like, let me just, yeah, I'll sit here. Yep, give me this question, whatever that, yeah, got a little thing for that. Just meet in the moment.
Yeah. You still ain't just roll out of bed like that, though. You still fly. I heard you say that earlier, like, oh, I just roll out of No.
Fly.
I don't care what choice of clothing you're choosing. Like, that's still like, no. But continue on, though.
Yeah.
That's your truth. But for the rest of it, it's like, no. This is rolling out of bed.
Yeah.
Okay?
But that's the thing I want to inspire in people, too, is like, I live by the mantra, you have to free yourself to see yourself. You have to give yourself the permission you seek from somebody else to be who you are. Yeah. So every day I go play in my closet.
Yes.
And I'm freeing myself daily by doing that. I'm like, what's the vibe today?
Yeah.
What's the ministry? This. Okay, maybe not that. And giving myself the fun to like do the thing to get into where, or you know, what are the things I have to do today? How can I be most comfortable and cute while I do it?
That part.
Were you always in this place?
It's possible to do both, okay? Because you can be fabulous and comfortable.
Yeah.
It works.
Yes. Were you always in this place, or did it take some practice?
It's practice every day.
Because sometimes, you know, when you're someone who likes to dress, like, and if it's like seen as not conventional, you do have people like making their little, especially if you're younger, like in school and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why I asked, because I figured.
Oh yeah, I mean, even since I was a kid, like I remember, I used to want this lime green suit.
I wore one for my high school graduation. Continue on. I'm from Detroit though. That's totally fine.
And I don't know what, but it was like I hated like. The choir, they'd be like, what are we wearing Sunday? Black and white.
Yeah.
And you know everybody gonna put on a black suit, white shirt, black tie, white pocket handkerchief. Everybody's gonna look the same. Yeah. I'm like, y'all know there are other ways to do this combination, right? We can switch this up a little bit. Even if it is black and white, we could
just up a little bit. Yeah.
So yeah, I've always had that desire to be like, we don't have to do the same thing all the time.
I just bought a lime green blazer, and I had this thing on me where I was like, so I like to wear color.
Yeah.
But I had this incident in middle school where I just came and I was like color blocking. It was like a pink and orange outfit or whatever. And these mean girls, they just like could not stop talking smack about me and my outfit. And after that, it really like made me think about how I dressed, and like I shied away from like colorful clothes. Now that I'm grown, like I'm like, whatever, I don't care. But I just thought about that because I recently just bought a bright green blazer, and that's something I would never, I would like double think, like,
and then you also don't need a reason to wear it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like people, like I said, people are like, where you going? I'm like, I woke up today.
Especially now, right?
I felt like giving a vibe, and this is what it was. Like,
yeah.
There's no excuse, like there's no reason to, and I hope to encourage and inspire that in people of like, take the moment, whatever it is. If it brings you joy,
it
do it.
It lifts your vibe. It does. Like, it doesn't matter. You could go to the library, and if you want to be fabulous, be fabulous.
And I literally took a trip home to North Carolina for my mom's 70th birthday recently to surprise her. And I took her shopping to, like, get her dresses and stuff. And she was like, well, where am I wear this?
Yeah. See?
And I'm like, we talking about a simple cotton dress.
Yeah.
I said, man, you can wear this to the grocery store, to the post office.
Anywhere.
Have you a cup of coffee in the morning for all I care.
Be a moment.
and again, this is coming from the woman who taught me not to look like a throwaway child.
Yeah.
But then I had to also think of her experience. She 70 years old, one of the first groups of students to go into like integrated schools in North Carolina.
Wow.
Like
Wow.
her experience and her full life, and being like, you spent a lot of your life apologizing for your existence and never having the permission to just be. And I'm like, Ma, go, do.
Yeah. I was gonna even ask, like, what kind of advice, would you give? Because I feel like you are an inspiration to a lot of people who don't feel that comfortable coming out, or wearing how they feel like they want to wear. Like, what were some steps that you took? I've seen like how you start your day, and where they like
With the Palo Santo.
and all that. I was researching all that. So was that
lurking.
yeah, well, we was kind of lurking. We was lurking a little bit.
I knew this.
Yeah, right.
I had no comment. I was
Not
like,
weird.
I appreciate it. No, I'm the same. I'm like, if you're going to meet some people, do some homework.
Right.
Know what you're getting into.
So are those, certain ways that you, kind of got yourself to be comfortable? Because I know you said that there was,
and again, I'm
journey.
finding it every day and seeing what works and what resonates, and what I'm learning and I'm sharing with people is like, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else.
Oh, see.
It really doesn't, because even my mom, having watched me do some interviews and like seeing me do my lives and be, Palo Santo, she was like, now what's this wood you burning? And you said you got crystals. Now who you praying to?
Right.
if that's not the most southern black mumble response, what's this wood you burning? Tell me what it is. I can say stop.
Right.
This ain't what we raised. I was like, yeah, you didn't raise me on this, but this work, I have found what serves me. And I found what and even in that, like, just continuing to be open for me and what resonates and like makes sense. It doesn't have to, your journey does not have to make sense to anybody else. And oftentimes, if somebody else has an issue with it, it is a mirror for them to look at themselves. And whether they choose to look at it or not is on them.
Yeah.
That's based in their fear. Like, those girls in high school were probably being like, ooh, I could never. Yes, you couldn't, sis.
Okay.
They saying it now, though.
Because I know I see some of them now, like, and I just be looking, oh, you finally learned how to dress. That's nice.
Okay. But they saw the confidence you had to do it.
Exactly.
Right.
And they were like, ooh, let me try to tear her down.
Exactly. No, that's real.
Speaking of your confidence, really quickly before you go, what's you find yourself more confident in or enjoy more, Broadway or film, like movie?
I don't compare them in the way of like, truly, I always say I just want to entertain the world in whatever capacity God allows. And I really do meet each moment of like, okay, great. How do I learn? How do I grow in this thing? They're different. They're fun. I use a bit of each in the other. Like, while I was shooting Raising Dion, I was doing Kinky Boots at the same time on Broadway. So I literally had to like fly back and forth and do both. And I'd find new ways to infuse my screen work with stage work in the same other way. And it's just like, they're both fun. It's all like, I love it all.
Love that.
Yeah.
So any future projects that you got going on, or that you can say?
Not
Are you
as of
creating?
now. Not as of now.
Were you upset Angela Bassett didn't win? I'm just.
We
not gonna let it go.
I was like, we really gonna let them leave without asking. Just want to know, I'm just saying.
Just okay. Because I forgot who said it, but somebody was like, at this point, it's just retroactive. She should have had it already.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it just should have.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I wouldn't even gonna waste your time with the should have. I was just like, were you as upset? Guys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like, everybody saw it. It was very much like her face was like,
Yeah, that hurt.
That was a universal slap.
Of course.
Yeah.
Just want to know.
But speaking of
Universal
Angela
slap.
Bassett, though, do you have like a theater Mount Rushmore? Like I know this is probably a broad question, but like 4 of your faves that maybe you love them for different reasons, like this one's voice or this one's face acting or something like that.
Start trying to mess up your check, yo.
Dang.
Walk this carefully.
I mean, I was like, this is hard, because then it's like stuff I've experienced, but then also like things I'm like, I mean, Audra McDonald is on there. I saw her do Lady Day at Emerson's Grill at Circle at the Square. And when I tell you that was the first time, not the first time, but one of the few times I have left the theater like speechless and moved in such a way. The other time was when I saw Felicia Rashad in the all-black production of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with Anika Noni Rose.
Yes.
See, it's that kind of just dropped in like truth and existing in such beautiful way. Andre DeShields, I recently got to honor him at Joe's Pub.
Okay.
And he was talking about part of his ministry and his purpose, that he feels like black men have lost their majesty. And he was speaking to my spirit that night in such a way, and I was like, from this day forward, I will never not walk in any kind of as the human I am, and that his existence in such a way. So like, okay, and I guess the fourth to that would be Billy Porter.
There we go.
That's the Mount Rushmore for me.
I'm living for
that's
it.
And you said Andre DeShields. Oh man,
that is, like truly the beauty. Oh no, Lilius White. So there's another.
I get it. For sure.
Okay.
I give you props for even doing it though, like because me, I've just been like I can't. I just can't because you know when you're so passionate about something.
Like I feel like, and we've talked about this, where like sometimes like there's a lack of aspiration, if that makes sense. Like, you know, when you're an artist, there are people that you look up to.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to be them, but you see things that they do that inspires you. So I always love asking creatives, like, who are the people that you look up to and that maybe you would suggest other people study?
Yeah. So, listen. We could. There could be a full. We could just like keep going.
And rediscovering is dope too, because Andre McDonald, I didn't even know she does all of that until I saw The Lady Day on HBO,
legendary.
And that made me go down a rabbit hole. And I was like, "Yo, the TV stuff. No disrespect, but it shadows."
Y'all know I'm a theater geek, so
I was like,
he
"Wow,
said a very familiar name."
I mean, she has the most Tony Award. Like that woman is stacked. And it is always so connected and so beautiful and so honest. And like Audra is very much one of those people too, who's like, what are we doing? What's the okay, great, let's meet the moment and do the work. And it always just like top tier.
All right, before you go, we have to ask this question because it's hip hop's 50th anniversary. We've been asking everybody before they leave, what is a hip hop moment for you that resonates?
If he likes hip hop, we got to add that in too.
Okay,
because
you can say
don't want to be presumptuous.
No, and it is sprinkled throughout my life, and it is like, but I don't even know if it's so much of a moment as a person. Missy Elliott has always been a creative that just like moves me. Everything that she is and does, and it's so effortless. And she's just like, this is what I do. What's good? Yeah. And has always walked in that power. Like every time I see her, it's just this like, I'm good. I'm doing me.
Yeah.
And in such a beautiful, pure, honest way. And that is what attracts me to an artist than any kind of thing. If it's just like based in truth. And she just like does that. Like she puts that Missy on it and it's special, and I love it.
That's dope, because you can see the things that she's done and the effect it's had now.
Oh man,
where everyone's walking so free now. When Missy came out, when it was about 16 bars and nothing else, and she started doing the he ho stuff, it was so abstract to people.
Yeah,
but you can see it like now. And you're right, she did walk in her truth. She didn't feel like she had to explain anything. I did love that about her. She just kept it about the music and her art and who she was. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
dope.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here today. It's been a pleasure, Jay. We hope you come back sometime when we hope to do more things.
I'm gonna have to go see your show.
Did you bring any free tickets?
I'm bringing a date.
I'm bringing a date.
Like, listen. Like, seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying to go.
Because something like it hot, and that ain't bad. I promise you, like, you will leave with a smile on your face and be like,
can I tell people I know you? And it's just
right.
Please do.
I just want to make sure when I'm there, you might be coming off the stage.
Yeah.
By
like, it's okay. He'll see it.
Oh, for sure. Oh, they'll take good care of you at the theater. Kenny, our house manager, like we'll do y'all right.
Because I'm prepared when I'm like, great show. I'm prepared. You know, I won't be offended. Just want to let you know. So it's all
I
good.
will. Look, because we friends.
Don't do this.
Listen.
Thank you all for tuning in to the AURN podcast. Check us out on social media, AURN online, and we will see you next time.
Deuce.